Okay, so I'm getting these washed. It could be an epic fail. So it's really not as bad as you would think. So I don't have to get it all the way cut out. So recently at a sale, at a barn estate sale where you got to pick in the dirt, and which is not everybody's jam, but I found some unfinished, unfired, unpainted ceramics. So, and then they're the mushrooms. So, okay, so how do I finish them? Because I don't have a kiln, and I don't, kiln the thing that heats it up, and, or the glazing, or probably the right products to do it. And I'm not going to go and invest a whole bunch of money in something that I'm only going to run across maybe once, twice, half a dozen times. So I kind of did a little bit of research, did a shout out asking y'all to tell me how I should finish these up. Mushrooms, y'all, they're mushrooms. So yes, one's already been painted, but it's not really my jam of how it had been painted. So I bought some products via the internet, via Amazon, to see if I can prime them, seal them in, and then paint them the way that I'd like to be painted, and then top coat them so it stays. So these are decor pieces. I'm not selling these to use your creamer, use your salt and pepper shaker. I guess you can if you wanted to, because after everything cures, within they usually say the cure time is 2 weeks to 30 days, and it is food safe. If you read any of your spray cans, a lot of your paints, they'll say the same thing. Of course, you're not going to be eating off wet paint. That's the obvious, y'all. So I always get those questions when I paint something that food could go into. So we'll just nip that in the bud right away. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Yvonne, and I am a second-hand pre-loved hunter. I love to go out in the wild looking for items that not only can I decorate my own home with, I'm also a flipper. I resell on eBay, and I have a few booths at a local antique mall. And then I also am looking for things that are unloved, unwanted, because they're not that perfect. I see them as perfectly imperfect, and if I can do a little bit more to them to get them to be beautiful and get them to be loved again, I am going to snag them up. This is as good as it gets. With all the scrubbing that I did, because it was unfinished, it just soaked right into the ceramic. Phyllis made these, or was getting in the process of making these. So no, this is as clean as it's going to get. And like I said, the little salt and pepper shakers have been painted, not my vibe. And then we have a little sugar canister. Got a little staining going on, but I did my best to scrub them. I didn't want to use too much like Barkeeper's Friend or anything like that. I didn't want anything to contaminate the ceramics, prevent me from being able, since it's such a raw thing, to prevent me from being able to finish these off properly. With a little bit of research, when I was going searching of how to do this, a lot recommended this primer, and then I was able to find this primer. It's 2 cans for one price on Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and get them primed first. And actually, I bought the same top coat that I've used in a couple other projects. Now it is glossy. It's just glossy. You'll have that. But a lot of the glazed ceramics were glossy. So I feel like that is a perfect protectant. So I'm going to go get all prepared and maxed up, and we're going to go ahead and get this sprayed. So decisions on what to paint the mushroom set. I don't think I have steady enough hand to do the detail, because it goes all the way down. So it goes all the way, I don't think I have a steady enough hand. Now I know that I've seen a lot of these in brown. Yeah. But I have like a few different browns, but none of them that they had a top coat in them already, and I really wanted to put the same brand that I put the primer on because I feel like this is really on there. Like I can touch it. I feel like it's really on there. So I want to make sure I seal that in with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do for you avocado green lovers, Gypsy Green, Gypsy Green by DIY, because I want to be able to seal it in, put some wax in it, some character to bring out the details with some wax. So that's what I'm going to try. It could be an epic fail. It could be wonderful. Who knows? But yeah. So let's just get to it and see what happens. Now I feel like I should maybe get a bowl of water and do this a little bit lighter. That's what I should do. Because I know ceramics, they would have done like a glaze on it, you know, and then it would have soaked in. So I don't mind going multiple color coats. I just want to make sure that I get that smooth finish on this. So just wiping off the excess because I watered it down that it wants to run before I hit this with a heat gun. Because it's DIY paint and I can. Yeah, that's hot. Then I'm just going to go ahead with my next coat. See if I don't need to water it down or not. Maybe a little bit. That one's a little bit harder, isn't it? The little mushroom top. So I am going to attempt to paint the inside too, just to give it that finished off look. I feel like they would have been painted, glazed. So now before I wax these and give them some detail, I'm going to seal the DIY paint in with a matte clear coat just in between, so when I go to wipe the wax on, that I'm not just removing the paint. So now it's time to finish these little guys up, and I know when I clear wax it, it gets that white chalkiness. I don't know why, just probably the mixture of the paint together. But I'm never worried because we're going to be using some of the aging wax to kind of get into the crevices, and if it doesn't get where I want it to be, I can use some decrepit dust. And then if it gets too dark, I have my eraser of the clear wax on hand. All these little things you have. So we're just going to put it straight on because I put that sealer on there first. Then I'm just going to take a dry towel, just a shop towel. And like I said, if it doesn't get all where I want it to be, I'm just going to go ahead and go back in while the wax is wet and make it sure that those details are popping the way that I want those details to pop. Getting inside is probably not the easiest. I'll see how I could make this work. Definitely not easy getting in the inside, and they probably didn't finish the insides, or I don't know, they probably put glaze or something. I'm trying my best. So I'm going to use the Polar Flawless Lacquer Clear Coat. My tester piece is going to be the that part of the lid? What if I don't like it or it does something weird? Just to be safe. I think it looks good, so I'm going to move on to the other pieces. So we got this at a barn auction, down, dirty, covered in mud. Nobody wanted it. Barn auction, farm auction. It's an old general store, like you would have scooped stuff out of it. Now, I have done the general store ones, and I put them back to general store. I put them back to farmhouse, cottage type, and then there they sit. I've lowered the price on them 3 times. So I'm going to create this one, hopefully into the mid-century modern vibe, to see if somebody will buy this. You know, you hate to put all that time and effort into something, and it does happen, y'all, that it doesn't sell. Not everybody has the space for a big item because these are big. I mean, I have one big and I have one small, and there's that. But I'm going to give it a good try. Maybe mid-century modern, maybe just adding some fun decor on it will make somebody want to buy this one and kind of give me a rethought of how to change something over. Yeah, y'all, just because I make it over doesn't mean it just flies off the shelves. You know, some things do, some things don't, some things sit there. Checkerboards are still good, but yeah. So not everybody's vision is my vision. So I recently picked up this. I think it's a pie keeper. Pie bed, pastry, whatever you want to use it for. That somebody has already painted. It's got some boo-boos. It's got some dents. It's got a story to tell. But I'm going to stick with that mushroom theme today. So I like the vintage inside. You know, they didn't paint the inside of it, so we'll see if we can get that cleaned up. And then when I bought it, we couldn't get it to close, but it just needed to be bended. So yeah, we're going to give this that 1960s, 70s. I don't know when the mushrooms were trendy. Well, I don't know when the mushrooms first came out, but I know that people are still buying them in our area, and I have a whole section dedicated to mushrooms and a whole section dedicated to owls and mid-century modern in my booth, and I constantly need to find stuff to fill it, so that is a good thing. So why not create that vibe with some of the thrifted finds that I have that are a little bit worse for wear? People aren't really going to buy them. This has already been cleaned multiple times from when we bought it, but it has a lot of chippy paint. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm just going to go ahead and sand it because that's going to be the easiest to try to get it off. So this one, being that it is super shiny, has a lot of texture going on it, they probably just sprayed, painted over whatever was there. I am going to sand it. So when I'm sanding metal, I'm going to start off with 80 grit to get it all smooth, or get some of the product off and get some grip for what the paint I'm going to put on there. Then I'll go down to 220 grit to smooth it out. So I'm going to see there is one dent right here. I'm going to see if I put a piece of wood. So what I'm doing is putting the wood where that dent is. Hitting it with the hammer. Oh, it's getting better. So I got it as smooth as I can without completely stripping all the paint off of it. But I just Dawn dish soap, hot water, get it cleaned up inside and out. Like I said, I've already given it a bath in the sink. Sprayed it off with the air compressor to get all the sanding dust off. Not a very pretty look right now, huh? So the insides are they're just too bad. So I'm going to try to spray them at least white. I'm going to do a coat of that primer that I used on the ceramics first. Because why not? Now I also need to seal and prime like the outer of the box. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some of the shellac to help attract the paint. Because remember, metal's not soaking other paint in. It's just kind of laying on there. So you want layers to be able to keep your paint on. Now that the primer has cured, I am spraying the inside with some enamel paint by Rust-Oleum. This is in the white, the flat white. I'm gonna do the inside of the lid, the bottom. So before moving on to paint the outside, I'm going to go ahead and do clear gloss to protect the white paint. It's not a smooth, I'm not a metalist, but at least it's a clean look. We're going to have some fun colors. So we're going to be doing some sweet potato, which is a yummy, yummy orange-ish harvesty though. So not like in your face. So we're using Sweet Pickins milk paint, which is a dry paint that you mix with water. And this is just tap water, room temperature. Equal parts water to equal parts powder. Then you stir the mixture together, making sure you get it all incorporated. It'll kind of aerate, it'll be bubbly, but you want to get all that powder mixed in there. I usually stir it for about 2 minutes and then let it sit off to the side to thicken up a little bit, but I smash it against the sides, scrape down on that bottom. I just use a plastic knife. You can use one of those little blenders that people mix their little protein shakes with and stuff, but this just works for me. My milk paint has been sitting, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a stir and then wipe off a lot of the excess because that's going to be way too much on my brush. And then we're just going to start painting. And so that'll just look like the paint has aged on this. Just going very carefully around that top area. It's about patience, I know. But I made it this far, so I want to give it a good paint job. I just like to go back over it, and then that helps those little shoddy, short brush strokes. We already have some crazing going on there, but we do not have enough coats yet. But okay, more coats to go. For the little pie keeper, I'm going to go ahead and use curry, which is a fun yellow color, almost mustardy. Okay, time for some curry color. I can't tape the inside, so I want to be very careful not to have too much liquid over these. And I'm just going to do the edge out to where the white is. I feel like white went with the mid-century modern vibe a little bit more than black would have. Normally I would do black because black is so hidey, but I don't feel like mid-century modern. I think back in the day it would have been white if they did this kind of design, which this was of course metal, but that was just too far gone, especially if you want to use this, which I would hope somebody who bought it would like to use it. I see these pie thingies. I don't know what the technical term of them all the time at auctions, and they're basically giving them away. They're usually worse for wear. They're usually rusted. So I have made one over before a long time ago. But then, you know, us poor flipper people, we ruined it. That was a piece of history. I'm like, it's rusted and nobody wanted it. So I'm like, this is too nice not to have some fun with. The paint job stunk, but it's still a usable piece. Just needs new life. There again, I have those hockey pucks on the bottom with the tape on it so that it's not pooling in paint in case my paint decides that it wants to be like that. It's liquidy. Thin coats is better. You still get that crackling, but you don't have to worry about it pooling up. So what looks like it's going to take a ton of coats, that second coat really starts to grab onto that first coat. So it's really not as bad as you would think. See how much better that's covering now that it has a coat of paint to grab onto. The second coat of this, let's see how well this attracts. Wipe off my brush enough after stirring. That was my bad. The curry might take more than 2 coats, so. That red is pretty brilliant underneath there. Amazing crackling and crazing going on. We got some chippiness trying to happen here, but I need to seal this in before moving on. So we're gonna go weather defense. So keeping with that little 70s, mid-century modern, I don't know what era it was, I have this decoupage paper that's mushrooms. So I'm actually going to put, like the smaller one, I think I'm going to put on the curry color. I know I have to do the smaller one on the curry little one because I don't have a lot of room. So before I cut out around them, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to some copier paper because that's going to make that image pop. Just using some Fusion's decoupage transfer gel to glue it onto the copier paper. Since I did not paint my object white, I don't want this to fade into the background. And it'll be easier to cut because it'll be a little bit thicker. So I don't have to get it all the way cut out, just a little bit better. So I'm just putting this one right on the front. Just gonna eyeball where I have to find a knob in my stash for. So yep, I'm just looking at that hole. Just a mushroom. I decided since it's such a big, I wish there was 2 tippage, but I think I'm just going to add a couple more because it's so big and people love mushrooms. Oh. So yes, 1 on either side. Y'all, I have sold the weirdest, I might even do that one in the bottom. Some of the weirdest stuff with mushrooms on. Handmade stools and cutting boards, pieces of wood. Back in that time era when mushrooms were a thing, people just put them on everything and they loved it, and most of it was handmade, and so that's what I'm going for. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and seal this in with some weather defense. Same thing as I sealed the box in with anyway. Sealed the paint in with. I think that'll be perfect. So I can't say that this is always, that little tab is always working, but I do have this little switch. So I have this little switch because that doesn't, as long as it's bent right, it's fine, but it won't. So what this is like, so you'll turn it and then it would close the hinge or close the door properly. So let's see if I can get, because I thought this little wooden red one that's already red would work out perfectly. So I'm hoping that this will work out for me. Yeah. So it doesn't stay tight. So then that's just enough that when you pull it up, I fixed it. There you go. I knew I had one of those in our stash. So then you open it up and it still works. And then the red matches. I knew in our stash, we have quite the stash. Yeah. Well, you know, you never know what you're going to need. I think this little guy, I just need to find a nut. And I think he will fit with that mid-century modern mushroom vibe going on there perfectly. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and what did you think? The little MCM mid-century modern mushrooms. Yeah, kind of started off the trend with that unfinished ceramic, but I think I would not try to sell these for at least a couple weeks, make sure that it's good and cured before moving them, but I absolutely love the color and the distressing, and yes, and so then going sweet potato and curry on the metal boxes, putting the decoupage paper of mushrooms. I tell you what, I can find the weirdest things out and about at sales and pick them up that have mushrooms on them, and they always sell. I mean, some of them even just been sticker mushrooms. So I mean, you know, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for that vibe and see how these sell. So people are just happy to collect their mushrooms. So give me a quick comment down below. Have I inspired you to look at secondhand finds in a new way? And yes, sometimes, you know, as people who make over items and resell items, I like to think out of the side of the box. Just because I don't decorate my own home with it, I can see the beauty in it, and I can see why somebody collects it, because everybody has a different vibe. If we all collected the same thing, Ooh, that would be bad. That would be very bad. Oh my goodness. So anyway, thanks again for watching today's video. And as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you stayed to the end of the video, I think you kind of like that. So if you're not part of the family, please smash that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know I've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys. And you can see what I'm up to. Bye.